All right, y'all. I think I'm waiting for the streaming to start. Welcome. I'm talking to an empty room, but I'm talking like I'm projecting into the future. All right, let's go.
Yeah, let's talk about it. Dropping the mask we wear day to day, building real trust in a brand new way. For a deeper connection, let's explore on transparent conversations. Transparent conversations, where every word can open doors. Transparent conversations. Yeah.
Hey, what's happening? This is Transparent Conversations, and I am your host, Calvin, or CPJR, or CPJR 300, if you really feel me. Welcome to my show, Transparent Conversation, Elevated Exchanges, where I sit here 3 days a week, Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, and talk about politics and anything else, and also try to bring you a little hope. I think I'm going to get back to really talking about that whole part, because this is not how it's always going to be, right? We're going to go back to better days, I hope. That's what we're trying to get back to, and we're going to do everything we can to do that. So as I sit here every week and I talk about all the different lies and the situation that we're in and how we're going to get out of it, I hope that no one actually just loses hope. I hope that you just find a reason to keep on going. That's important. Purpose is important. All right, so I have a YouTube channel called Transparent Conversations, and also a Substack called Transparent Conversations. You can follow me on either one of those to see these on a regular basis. So if you're here for the first time, welcome. If you're coming back, welcome. Like I said, I'm going to be here doing this on Monday, Wednesday, and Friday at 8:30. For the upcoming time. I don't know if the schedule may change based on my situation, but right now, definitely Monday, Wednesday, Friday, I will be sitting here talking about AI, data centers, lies from the Republicans, the Zionist takeover attempt of the world, and also any other thing that seems to that I think need to be talked about. So I'm not going to take too much time up, but if you have a chance and you've been here before, please take a moment to either like, share, subscribe to the feed so that I can be seen by more people and hopefully grow the audience, grow the community. That's the plan, to make this a place where people can actually just come and just share and talk about different things. Like I'm approached all the time about doing interviews, but I haven't been approached by anybody I would care to do an interview with. It's kind of strange sometimes to have people want to be interviewed by me, because they aren't really, I don't think people understand the content of what Transparent Conversations, Elevated Exchanges is all about. This started out as a place for me. Well, let me talk about the roots. Transparent Conversations used to be a Facebook group, but we used to talk about almost anything. It was basically a group of African American people who were either into the ethically non-monogamous community, or they were into like BDSM, or just really like seeking answers to why they were different and why they didn't want to fit into the regular box. It's a long story on how I came to be in the ethically non-monogamous community, but it was home. So with that, I started to talk about ethically non-monogamy. Then I talked about recovery from addiction, and then I left, and now I came back to where I am right now and talking about politics ever since Trump was elected, because I believe that even though my audience may not be as large as others, just typing up the videos, putting it out there in the algorithms will make it. We'll give other people a chance to see a different perspective, because I'm convinced that mainstream media is just dead. It's propaganda, all of it. And I'm gonna show you a piece that proves that today, or add proof to that today, because it's amazing. I stopped watching mainstream media a while ago. Really, when Trump got elected, because it was just too much. Because I'm watching that, and I'm watching independent media, and I'm not seeing the same thing. Right? I know that things that I see you don't see, or if you see it, it may seem like not a big deal, when really we're in the worst shape I've ever seen, or could imagine at this point in this country, and we're in danger, y'all. We're in real danger. So I don't want to take up too much time. I guess my first premise, or what I really want to talk about, is data centers, and the fact that right now, I'm gonna talk about what I see. Right now, the data center issue is a problem because there's too many of them. And I remember. A while ago, I was talking about the engineering. Like, it didn't make sense to me. How could they do a closed water system when there's so much to cool off? And how, once the water is hot, how does it get cool again? Basically, if it's not closed, the water would go into cool down the systems and then go off as vapor up into the air. A closed water system, the water is in the system. And this, we're talking about very, very, very hot. Like, if you were to run your systems without cooling, and like I said, I've been in IT, I know about server rooms in systems. If you run your systems without any cooling at all, they will burn out. They'll possibly catch on fire. There'll be some smoke, and it would just ruin the equipment. It's just something that can't be done. They have to be cooled. That's from the very beginning of PCs. You have just regular PCs in towers. They would have these gigantic heat sinks on them, because they will get hot, very hot, and you need a way to dissipate that heat. Now multiply that times 1,000,000, and that's what we have in these data centers. So I did find a video. I'm going right to videos. Oh, my sponsor. I'm the sponsor. Elevator Exchanges Media. I'm the sponsor. So if you're interested in getting into podcasting, YouTube channel, or any type of content creation, holler at me. Let me know if I can. I'll let you know if I can help you, and maybe you can help me. We can help each other. Okay, that's it. Thank you. Thank you for your attention to this matter. So let's get to the first video. It's going to be on data centers. So what I said, when I talked about the premise of this, or the main subtitle of this thing, is data centers are the billionaires' plan to become trillionaires and enslave us all. Now, a lot of people don't want to call data centers. They want to call them surveillance centers. So that's a big part of it. Basically with Palantir, or whatever that thing's called, Palantir, Peter Thiel, and his other crazy founder, and Larry Ellison, and these people want to come up with a system and cameras that constantly record where we are and what we're doing. But cameras, because we're doing it now, right, with the Meta glasses, right? We're putting those on, and I've already seen videos where people are there's a light. One side there's a camera, one side there's a light. So if you're recording, the light's on, so that's an indication to everyone in the room or around you that you're recording on your Meta glasses. Now, people are going to people and paying them $100 to drill the light out, and then put a silicone or something over it, clear, so it seems as though the light is still there, and you are not able to tell that you're being recorded, right? So now let's go back to the surveillance state. I played a video in here before that, Larry Ellison, he's already talking about how he wants to have a have everyone under constant surveillance, but people aren't watching it all the time because that will be against the law. But the AI AI will be watching it all the time and monitoring it, and if the AI sees something that we shouldn't be doing, they will alert the authorities, and authorities can then look at it with a warrant and then come and get you. So that will give us incentive or reason to always be on our best behavior because AI is watching. That's a sick person, right? That's a sick person to think that anybody would want that or that we need that. Like, we need to be monitored to be on our best behavior. We're not going to be on our best behavior. We're going to be on our behavior because we're free sentient beings in this country. We say that this is the land of the free and the home of the brave, but I don't know. Is it? Is it really? Because what we're going through now, we're not. We have a fascist government who wants to rule by executive order, a Congress who seems to be in the pockets of AIPAC for Israel, and there are things just happening that we don't have control over, including data centers. Now, I did mention how I need to really study the engineering of these data centers, and lo and behold, the algorithms delivered. So I'm going to play a short snippet from this video. This guy, Joven, he has a master's in engineering. The things that he studied are way over my head, but he understands engineering and the cooling problem of these data centers. So basically, his premise in this video is that the physics of these data centers are impossible, right? They don't work. Meaning that unless they come up with a better way to do the computing, which is what China is trying to do, because China can't get the chips that they have over here. So China has to work around that and come up with a better way, an easier way, better algorithms to enable AI to be either profitable or usable in a certain way. The lie that they told us when they started all this, that AI was going to replace workers, was a lie. So the scheme, let me tell you about the scheme. So I recognize patterns. So the scheme on that, we have SpaceX getting ready to do an IPO, and he wants almost $2 trillion, right? Every video I've seen on that, and everything I've read on that, it's way overpriced. There's no way he should get that money. He can't be, the company's not worth that. The three companies that are all together, what is it? AI, what is it? I don't know, the Grok, I forget what they call it, AIX or something. There's the AI part of it, there's SpaceX, and then there's Starlink, right? Starlink is a good product, but most of the people, most of the country, most of us don't need satellite internet. So there's a limited amount of that they actually can sell, right? There's a ceiling, right? Because everybody doesn't need access to the internet via Starlink. So there's only so much that could be sold. It's very good that it's up there. The military is using it. Ukraine is using it. I'm sure our Navy's using it over sitting in the middle of the Gulf while they're at war or not at war. Basically, they're covering Israel invasion of Lebanon. So there's only so much money there, right? The money mostly he'll be able to get is from government or governments around the world for military purposes. Because there's the retail side, it's a cap, right? We live in houses. We have internet access, right? But people in rural areas, people that go to parks, camping, I've seen a lot of people that are doing van life. They have Starlink and they love it. But for the majority of us, we don't need it, right? Then we have the SpaceX part, right? SpaceX is a rocket company, right? He started out talking about going to Mars. That's done. There's nobody going to Mars. in this lifetime, right now with current technology, there's no one going to Mars, right? I've heard, what's that physics name? That I can't think of his name. The black, Neil deGrasse Tyson. I heard him talking about the fact that due to the radiation, if you go to Mars, it's a one-way trip. And when you get there, you're probably going to die. So it's like the technology needed to get to Mars is not in our lifetime. So now he's pivoting to data centers in space. The physics don't work out. Space is cold, but there's no atmosphere, so you can't blow. You're not going to be able to cool the things out there. Plus, there's radiation. It's just a pipe dream, right? It's a aspiration, right? You don't give aspirational people money. You give people that are going to turn a profit money. And then we have what's the other one? The Grok. I'm not going to talk about the AI thing. And so anyway. Notice all three of these companies are trying to IPO all of a sudden, right? Now, the news is changing and the sentiment from, the enterprise, customers, corporate, the sentiment is changing around AI, meaning that they're coming to the realization that after subsidies, paying a certain like $30 a month or $20 a month isn't gonna cut it, right? Because you could have someone paying $200 a month, but they're burning through tokens. And we talked about what tokens were before. They're burning through tokens. And tokens are the conversation that you're having from the prompt. That you type in the prompt, you hear the thing, those are tokens. Then as AI is doing its computing, those are tokens. And then it has to ask you the questions back. And then the way AI works, it doesn't remember the conversation, right? It has to read the conversation over again and start from there. Like it's not like me and you when we're having a conversation. I remember the conversation, the first word. I don't have to go back to it. I'm high or something. I don't have to, or drunk or something. I don't have to go back to the first word, right? I remember the conversation. AI can't do that. OpenAI supposedly have come up with a fix for that. We'll see. But basically, is it going to be still upside? It's still the same price. So AI is coming out to be very expensive. We showed a video last week or 2 days ago where one company accidentally spent $500 million in 1 month, right? We have Starbucks. Was it Starbucks? Or Uber. Uber spent their entire budget for the year in 4 months, right? So companies are realizing that this isn't going to be the Planet C or the payback. They're not going to pay off that they were promising, right? You're not going to fire people and replace them with AI, right? Because, there's even a story about Ernst & Young. I used to work for them. Ernst & Young printing a paper that no one checked. Like a junior person ran through AI, created a paper, sent it out, right? AI is a consulting firm, accounting firm, and sent that out as fact. It was wrong. Right? They had to retract it because another senior person didn't read it. Right? That's the danger of AI, right? So if your people are writing that, they'll probably have a process they need to submit it to a senior person sees it and sign off on it, right? Or say, you need to go back and refix that. Back when I was in corporate IT, I still am, but back when I was in corporate IT, I would work on board papers for, budget, large items that we needed. And after $1 million, we had to justify what we were doing. So I had to write papers. So I would work with my manager. She would write that part. Then she would pull her red pen and say, you need to fix that. How'd you get that number? Where'd that come from? We think we could do this instead of that. That's how it works. But now you think you can just submit it to Grok or OpenAI and it just does the paper and they just hand it in, right? That doesn't work. So because somebody still has to check it. AI hallucinates and there's a limitation. So right now, what's happening is the reckoning is coming. The bubble is popping, right? And what they want to do is IPO before the bubble pops, meaning that they want to take this burden of this software that they not going to be able to use, get it to the public, and let the public put their money into it right away. Already, SpaceX they've already rewritten the rules for Elon. So with the NASDAQ, to get it listed on the NASDAQ is going to make it part of the index, meaning that your retirement monies are going to be going to Elon Musk. Only 19% of his ideas work. He only delivers on, according to what I read, he's only delivers on 19% of what he says he's going to deliver. and that's pretty bad. Only 19%. Usually, and that's not a trillionaire. That's a con man. But they're allowing it to happen. And now with this SpaceX IPO, they're gonna dump. Institutional investors gonna get the first dibs on it, and then they're gonna get it at a set price. And then once they open it up, retail investors are gonna try to get into it. They're gonna get it at a higher price. The people who just bought it are gonna dump it on the retail investors so they can get rid of it. They're gonna make a nice little pop, and you're gonna be stuck with some junk. So buyer beware. Buyer beware. I wouldn't bet on it. Everybody's betting on Elon. They're not betting on the technology because it's not there. The only reason that SpaceX and even Blue Origin, all these rocket companies, they exist because NASA can't blow up rockets. At the pace that we just had, Blue Origin just blew up a rocket. A terrible explosion. We got the data. But if you were to see NASA and all the in the Apollo system and programs, the rockets blew up, but it was a big deal. Because there's only one, or maybe two. There's only one, but it only happened like a few times, right? They weren't blowing up rocket after rocket after rocket. That's a big investment, and for some reason, we're allowing SpaceX to do that. So that's why they got moved that off to the public. Now they want to sell that to you, something that the government used to do. They want you to fit the bill and be stuck with it. So he get all his money up front. Nobody wants it. It's already been banned in a country in Europe. They don't even want that mess there because they see the play, right? The same with OpenAI and Claude, right? They want to get these IPOs out the way because the writing is on the wall that AI is not going to be this great thing that they promised. It's not replacing people. They're quietly hiring people back, and AI is very, very undependent. It's not dependable. You can't. You ask it a question, you might as well ask a baby a question, and maybe you'll get a good answer. Maybe you won't. It's an algorithm. It's a word calculator that doesn't remember, and it's very expensive. And they keep trying to shove these data centers down our throats. So let's look at this young man's video. I really suggest you follow him. He's very intelligent, and this is the first. And I'm glad I found it because I really wanted to understand the engineering of these data centers and why they never really sat right with me. It doesn't make any sense to me. It doesn't feel good. It's a long, like 45-minute video. I'm not gonna play the first 5 minutes, but I suggest you go to the show notes, get the link, and watch the entire video if you want to be informed.
AI data center boom does not survive basic physics. This is what society has come to. A Shark Tank billionaire just convinced a small county in Utah to unanimously approve a 9 gigawatt AI data center, larger than the entire electricity demand of the state, by telling them the Chinese will beat us if we do not build it. Before the vote, there was no public environmental impact analysis, there was no independent engineering review, there was no completed water plan.
Who would want us to stop building our electrical grid? Who would want to stop us from having compute capacity to develop AI? Which adversary would want that? There's only one. It's China.
Kevin calls it Wonder Valley and describes it as the biggest project in Utah since the Transcontinental Railroad. But inside the approval room, the mood was not celebration. Hundreds of residents shouted shame, cowards, and people over profits as the data center was getting approved.
All of this is false. Then why won't they let people talk? Why won't they let us ask questions? It's false. This is not real information.
This is the part that matters. That was not a quiet little disagreement. It was practically a public revolt against a project whose numbers has not survived independent review. Nonetheless, the problem with this is the data center reality that Kevin O'Leary is selling and much of the AI industry is now betting on does not survive basic physics. If you guys, my name is Jovan. I'm an optoelectronics engineer. I have a master's degree in engineering, and I'm a researcher that studies optics, photonics, and microelectronics. And I just want to give some insight on what's going on. What's being pitched right now, not just by Kevin, but by every hyperscaler in the country, is delusional on a scale that most people do not quite understand. The physics doesn't survive the timeline that's being sold to us. The chips don't exist in the quantity the build out requires. The financing is going in circles, and the moat that justifies the whole $1 trillion spend just got blown up by a Chinese company charging 8 times less for the same exact thing. The strange part is that the people running the build outs, the CEOs whose stock prices depend on it continuing, have already started quietly admitting most of that on record. And I'm going to show you what I found when I checked out what's going on. Before the project was approved, the developer didn't commission a public environmental impact analysis. As I said previously, there was no independent engineering review on the table. The commissioners voted to approve a 9 gigawatt facility across 40,000 acres without one.
This won't be the last one I build.
May I ask, 2,000 jobs? Okay, so relative to the size, the physical size of the project, which, as you noted, is multiple times the size of Manhattan, and the power draw at peak, this data center, your projections, will consume about as much energy as New York City does. But New York City provides almost 5 million jobs. And this project, by your own description, would provide about 2,000 jobs.
So a physicist at Utah State did the work himself. His name is Dr. Robert Davies. He spent 20 years at the USU Space Dynamics Lab with a stint as a technical liaison for the Internal Space Station. He is not an activist. He is a working atmospheric physicist with a NASA resume. He pulled the publicly disclosed numbers straight out of the developer's own filings and ran them. So 3 numbers came out of the filing. The data center itself is rated at 9 gigawatts of compute load. The power is generated on site by a natural gas plant, and a modern combined cycle natural gas plant runs at roughly 55% thermal efficiency, which means for every watt of usable electricity it produces, it also produces about a watt of waste heat, which gets vented as exhaust. Those 3 numbers are not contested by anyone, not even the developer of the project. So Professor Davies started with a very basic principle of thermodynamics. Every watt of electricity that goes into the data center eventually has to leave as heat, because that is what computation does at the physical level. So just a compute by itself dumps 9 gigawatts of heat into the valley. Then layer in the gas plant. To produce 9 gigawatts of electricity at a 55% efficiency rate, the plant has to burn enough natural gas to release roughly 16.4 gigawatts of total thermal energy. The 9 gigawatts becomes electricity. The remaining 7.4 gigawatts vents into the valley as waste heat. Add the compute heat and the plant waste heat together, and you get a total thermal load of about 16 gigawatts, dumped continuously every day for the 30-year operational life of the facility into one closed desert valley. To put things into perspective, the Hiroshima bomb released about 6.3 times 10 to the 13th joules of energy per day. If you were to divide the 2 numbers, that means the AI data center is releasing about 22 to 23 times the amount of energy as the Hiroshima bomb. This is not a random set of numbers. This is the reality that Utah is facing. Translated, what that means for the area around Wonder Valley is that for every single day for about 30 years, the facility will release into the valley a quantity of heat energy equivalent to 23 Hiroshima yield atomic bombs.
So there you go, 23 Hiroshima atomic bombs for every day for the next 30 years. I mean, that's crazy, and they know that, right? Because the numbers were pulled out of their report, their report where they've submitted to, the environmental impact, I guess, or anything. They know this is going to happen. They know that these data centers are dangerous. They know they're going to heat the areas around them, and then the ones that are going to be burning gas or diesel or whatever's available, that's going to be dumping more greenhouse gases into the atmosphere. So why do we need that for something that isn't working? I'd rather let China have it and let them do it. They're going to figure it out how to do it better. Because they can't get the access. And now those chips are not available. Right now, you have a hard time buying RAM because everything's going to the data centers, right? And they're going to the data centers for something that may or may not work. may or may not work, and that we may not need. It's a tool, and a tool being used for everything makes no sense. So, I suggest you really listen to the rest of that, because it just gets worse from there. It's just like the physics of the data centers or what they're proposing to do don't work, and that's just one. There's another video showing down how many there already are and how many they want to build in every almost every state in the union, and they're doing it on farmland. They're going to where they have a less pushback. They aren't trying to go in the middle of New York and do one, or in suburbia. They're going and buying farmland, all farmland. And then what we're going to eat, I don't know. They don't really care about that. All they care about is the money. This is to make billionaires, trillionaires, because there's not another, as I played in the video last week with Ed Zitron, there's no more good ideas that's gonna scale up to where to the money that they want to make, that they think they supposed to make, and they need to make. Remember, OpenAI started as a nonprofit. It's supposed to be for the good of mankind, but now they see that, we can make money. Let's make a lot of money. And that's all they care about, is making a lot of money. Not living a comfortable life. No, they want 5 yachts. They want 5 yachts. They want to be able to sail around the world. They want to ski down a glacier. That's what Zuckerberg is doing, this crazy stuff. While he's building... Why is Facebook making AI? Can anyone explain it to me? I have no idea. I would never use it because I don't trust Zuckerberg. So why is he building it? People trust him? I wouldn't buy Meta glasses. I don't want to give Zuckerberg any more information about me at all. And that brings me to this. I stopped using Google search. Right? I stopped using Google AI because I don't want to see, don't shove AI down my throat, right? They've already stated they're gonna go fully AI in their search. I don't want fully AI in my search. I've said this from the very beginning when they first started doing this, like a few years ago. They're gonna switch to just AI answers, and I prefer to get links so I can see where the data is coming from, so I can see the bias, or I want to see who's saying that, because just because someone said something to me, I don't believe it. Right, I have to verify it to make it true or not true. I'm not a low information voter. I will look up and research everything, and if you're just spitting out answers, and I know AI is giving me wrong answers, then now I gotta research everything when I could, everything that's on there, but I don't know where it came from. So now I gotta Google search the answers from AI to figure out where it came from to find out if it's true. That doesn't make any sense. Not to me, but I am not, I'm 60, so maybe it makes sense to young people. But like I said, when they told me, I had it wrong, they told me they gave me I was looking at information about the Department of Defense, the Secretary of Defense, right? It gave me, with confidence, told me that Pete Hegseth was not the Secretary of Defense. Now, I think he got confused because he calls himself the Secretary of War, but I don't know. It told me the previous, I forget his name, Lord something. He told me the previous Secretary of Defense was the current Secretary of Defense, because it probably couldn't understand that. Why am I calling Pete Hegseth the Secretary of Defense when, in its whatever it had going on right there, it thought that Pete Hegseth was not the Secretary of Defense. I didn't even ask him what Pete was, or because it didn't even know who Pete was. So that's very strange to me, and that's things like, it's very unreliable. Now, if I was a kid turning in a paper and it just gave me that information, would I have checked it or just turned it in, and then it would have been flagged like, this is wrong, right? So for that, what I did with that, if you want to do it too, or try to find alternatives to AI or being tracked, I still use Google Chrome, but I switched my search to DuckDuckGo. DuckDuckGo has an extension for Chrome, so all my searches go through DuckDuckGo. On my mobile, my phone, I switched to the DuckDuckGo browser because I don't want to be tracked. I don't want anything being sucked up into AI. It just feels weird, and we know that AI uses you for research and training the models. So you probably want to limit that as much as possible or not. It's up to you. But I don't really feel creepy about it. I just don't like them making decisions that's going to force me to use AI if I don't need it. So that's that, you know. And then we're already seeing that the cost of AI is through the roof. And so when they're providing me AI answers off my search, they're using tokens. They're spending their tokens on that, and that's generating heat from the computing. I'm not signing up for that. I am not signing up for that. And people in these social media debates, I always try to say, well, you probably use the internet, you see web pages and stuff like that. You probably do research. I'm like, those aren't the same data centers. Those data centers have been around forever. When I started in IT, there were no data centers. And I've already talked about it before. They were used to house servers for companies, or companies just put their servers in a data center away from the office because telecommunication is much better now. You could just do a very not a very expensive T1 or broadband line to the data center and let them take care of the cooling and the security and the housing of the servers. So yeah, watch that video if you really want to learn about the engineering of data center, and he's talking about the physics with those numbers. I'm sure they worked. The joules on, I don't know, but I do trust it. If I wanted to, if I thought it was not sitting right with me, I would definitely prove those out. I'm sure I could do it. I'm sure you could do it too. So let's go on to the next video. And another problem with these data centers, I'm gonna stay on data centers, is that they generate noise. I've gone down there. These must be different ones. I don't remember them being that noisy, but when I was working and going to the data center, I had stuff to do. I worked in DC, had to drive out to Ashburn, usually either to meet a vendor or rack a server or bring something up or fix something or take care of some inventory needs, things like that. So when I was going out there, I was working, but they were big and they were everywhere and they were always building more. So now there's a problem with the noise. Take a look.
So I'm one of two people who do daily sound readings. I generally do the daytime readings, and then I'm up at night, so I do some late night readings. Okay. And we do a DBA and a DBC reading, which are different frequency formulations. DBA is for more like human audible. DBC allows more of the low frequency rumble that you can more feel. And I would just set it to the slow reading.
You hear it, don't you?
This meter has an average. And we would just wait 3 minutes, and it gives an average, and that's what we record. Okay. Along with the temperature, if it's cloudy, is it raining or not, other factors just for data points.
So I'm hoping people can hear this on the video, but how do you describe the noise to people who don't live here?
If it were like a highway that never stops. We talk about, you listen to Prince William County Parkway, you hear that during the day, but at nighttime, you clearly hear it go down in volume because there's not as much traffic. Right. This is continued. It is just inordinately loud. Some people have claimed, well, but it's just like a conversation that never
going
stops,
on forever. It never stops.
Bedroom, and you can never turn off. So it's not, 80 decibels, but it's constant.
Constant. And this is the back of your deck.
Mm-hmm.
That's crazy.
The building is behind those trees.
400 feet, 500.
So, full disclosure, I lived in Manassas. That's in Manassas. You talking about that Prince William County Parkway? There is a hum from the traffic. It does go down at night, usually in the morning. Like I wasn't too far. I lived in Manassas, and we were pretty far away from it. It was 66, not the Prince William Parkway, but. It was 66. Yeah, so it would be a hum from the traffic during the day, but it would definitely disappear at night. but it wasn't loud. It wasn't that loud at all. It was just in the background. That's crazy because that never stops, and that's what people are going to have in their neighborhoods. Like if you move to the country because you want it quiet, now your quiet is gone. Now you just have a consistent hum. Now it's interesting that people on the right are against windmills that make a noise when they turn, but this is okay. You know what I'm saying? Because they aren't talking about it. And I want to show you what's going on with that. Why these data centers are popping up, because they haven't been talking about it, because they're all in collusion to just let that stuff happen. The elected officials, again, they're not listening to their people. They don't want it. That's why you see these town meetings are going haywire, and these meetings are going haywire because the people are like, we didn't approve this. We don't want this. Why is this happening? Why is our electric bills going up? Why is our water messed up? Why did you do this? And the people are just sitting there talking about, well, we had a meeting and nobody came, so we just approved it. But then you impacted their life in a major way and didn't get approval. There's something wrong with it. And it's mostly Republicans, some Democrats. I live in PG. I don't think we're having any data. I think there's some here, but none of the big ones. The big ones, like I said, I lived in Manassas, Ashburn, probably Fredericksburg, all down there, Culpeper. I know there's a big one going to Culpeper, horse country. They're just buying the land and building these data centers, but there's also a lot of them aren't being built. They're walking away from the leases because they're starting to see that the money is not going to come back. Billions are not coming back. You spent $7 billion, you got $1 billion back. How does that work? You're not going to make it. You remember the company called WeWork? There you go. This is like WeWork. This pump and dump happening in front of our eyes, and a lot of people are going to be hurt. So let's talk about the electricity, see what's happening there.
How is it that our power bills in Northern Virginia are spiking so much?
Northern Virginia again.
So you have a data center in a community, it starts to get built, but then they don't have the power to actually keep that data. So they need to generate power. That means you need to build power lines, right? Whether it's below ground or above ground. And so to pay for those power lines, the energy company says, okay, well, we need to build a power line here so we get approval from the state, and we will increase people's utility bills to pay for that infrastructure.
We all always pay for any new infrastructure, and it's approved by state regulators when they do it.
Approved by state regulators, and the laws they have in place in Virginia right now make it so that the state regulators can't really protect those ratepayers. It forces them to charge those ratepayers a rate to build that energy.
Is that just in the law, or is it in the contract with the utility company?
It's in the law, and someone who, like me, lives next to the data center, you see a data center pop up. I know that I'm going to have to pay not just for the data center's power, but now I'm going to have that noise near my house. Now I'm going to have to drive by that every day. Now that's going to mean impact on my water infrastructure. And so it hurts me in so many different ways. Of course people are angry.
Because you had no say in it. And basically the people that are going to be rich could afford to just go ahead and pay for it, but they're not going to because it's in the law. You have to pay for new infrastructure, to power infrastructure. North Virginia again, like those houses right now, I never seen that. Like when I went to data centers in Ashburn, there were no houses around it. But just seeing a data center that close to houses, like I haven't been down there in a while, and it has changed. I live in, like I said, Prince William County, and they're building data centers right next to houses, knowing that there's going to be that much noise at a consistent basis. And then we already know there's going to be more heat drawn out, and they're dumping greenhouse gases. And the thing about it is, are we really going to benefit from all this? Because they're already saying maybe not. Maybe not. And there's all kinds of discussions as to, I think just today, the Claude, it was LinkedIn. It was posted on LinkedIn. The Claude CEO, Claude, wants to slow down because their software is being written by AI, meaning that they don't know they don't know how it's being written. So I do follow a lot of developers on YouTube, and they talk about the code that it writes. They can't understand why it did it, like why it wrote so many lines when they could have done it more easily, more elegantly, because AI doesn't learn. It's like a intern or a junior developer is just doing stuff where if you were a senior developer or a junior developer under a senior developer, you would say, don't do it that way, do it this way. So if AI starts writing all the code for itself, we're talking about the Matrix. We're talking about people may not be able to understand what it's doing, right? And we've seen that it will do dangerous things. So it has to stop. But this next video I'm going to show you is about, like I said, I don't watch mainstream news media at all. And I was shocked. But I saw this. I hope I don't get a strike for it. I think it was on Instagram or YouTube, probably YouTube. And it was NBC Channel 4 in DC. Now, it is him or a reporter talking to an electrician who was being employed by data centers, saying that great data centers are a great thing. And I'm like, okay, that doesn't seem like good reporting. It seems like propaganda. You judge for yourself.
What would you want people to know that are watching these data centers go up? They're not excited about them. They're worried about the energy use. They're ugly. They're noisy. Could be health effects. What are you seeing?
I would say that it is every community that I have seen that has started to build data centers, and I've seen them all across the country. Those communities have exploded with growth. The local people are getting a lot of experience and making a lot more money, and they're actually building careers where they can sustain their families for generations.
For the first time, we are stepping inside of a booming local industry that's pumping life back into the middle class. It's all happening in the shadows of the data center explosion. This looks like it's a giant breaker box. Is that effectively what it is?
Essentially, that is what it is.
Saad Khan is the vice president of J.E. Richards, and News 4 is the only TV camera inside of its prefabrication shop just outside of Fredericksburg. Richards builds the electrical components that power data centers, and business is booming. Are we watching a kind of a subset of industry booming here in Virginia that people don't even realize is happening?
Absolutely, absolutely. Most people don't know what we do here. It's really, really important to the data center industry.
And important, Khan says, to communities. Richards has 3,600 employees. More than 3,400 of them are union electricians. This is one of 26 prefabrication shops in the region. Without a degree or any training, workers start earning hourly wages in the $20 to $25 range and can work up to $60 or $70 an hour over time.
That's better, man.
Richards has increased its workforce nearly 50% each of the last 3 years. What would you want people to know that are watching these data centers go up? They're not.
So that was a story on Channel 4, Channel 4 News here in Washington, D.C. If you saw that story, and that's what y'all see because y'all watch mainstream news, if you saw that data centers are good, right? They're being employed. He's saying that communities are booming when data centers are started. Yeah, when they get started, there's a build out time, meaning that the most people are going to be employed to build the data center. Once it's built, they have to move on to another one because they don't need you after it's been built, right? It's already done. So yes, they're going to make money at the very beginning, but they didn't address the problems. They didn't address the objections. All they did was make it seem like this is a booming industry and everyone should be excited about it and get into it. Nothing about the impact on the environment. Nothing about the ongoing problems, the heat situation, the electric or empowering them situations, the computing, electricity. None of that. You know, it's just like, let's get this money and build these data centers, but nothing after that. Now, that's what you see in mainstream media, and I see why these things happen, and people are all for it because they don't have all the information. And that's what you see on mainstream media. And that's NBC. And I was shocked when I saw it, that it was such a upbeat upbeat story, and didn't talk about any of the pitfalls of it, and basically passing out propaganda and half the story and not the entire story. But that's what they do. Somebody got a check and said this is a story, and then that reporter did the story because that's how he makes his money, by passing around propaganda. All right, we're gonna switch it up from here. I have to talk about the Israeli problem and the sheer unbelievable reality that we're now in, right? Because it wasn't a reality before this. It was a reality. Like I said, people were saying that it's a genocide. Israel is very genocidal. Benjamin Netanyahu and this other guy, Gravir, whatever his name is, Ben Gravir, whatever his name is, they just are hardcore Zionists, and in order for them to get what they want, they have to commit genocide. After October 7th, which was a terrible thing to happen, we don't know all of how it happened or why it happened, but it was still terrible from a people that have been forced to live in an open air prison and under apartheid situation, and then monitored and harassed on a daily basis. So when they attack back, it's horrible, but then to kill as many of them as you can and flatten all their neighborhoods it showed me who you were, right? It wasn't a retaliation. It wasn't an investigation like go get the people that did it. It was a let's kill them all, and that's how they're brought up, and that's how Zionism is. Now, what I want to this first video I'm going to play is about how the Israelis were greeted once they after the World War II, and how the Palestinians opened up their arms and doors to them, and then betrayed them because they believe they share everything.
Palestinians were like, yes, Jews, Armenians, you're both welcome, come. Of course we'll let you in.
My maternal grandmother was born in Haifa because after the Armenian genocide, the stories that my grandmother told my mother about how the Palestinian Muslims treated Armenian refugees, who were obviously overwhelmingly Christian, was incredible. They were welcoming.
As Jews moved to Palestine, Palestinians were welcoming them because they saw the Jewish people coming in as brothers and sisters escaping persecution.
To Zionists here and everywhere.
These people came on ships holding up signs about World War II saying, please, we're refugees, let us into your home. And the Palestinians opened their doors to them. This is the story of Muhammad Hadid and Bella Hadid. Yeah, the model, Gigi Hadid. His mother had just given birth. They allowed these refugees, these Polish refugees, to live in their homes as refugees because they wanted to help them following a world war.
We let you into our homes when your own countries tried to murder you and everyone else turned you away. We fed you and we clothed you. We gave you shelter and we shared from the bounty of our land with you.
And then one day,
and when the time was right,
Palestinians who were letting Jewish Europeans live in their homes come home and they find the locks changed. And they were like, wait, why can't I get into my home? And then the family, the Israeli family on the inside just simply wouldn't open the door and wouldn't talk to them, wouldn't let them in.
They came back to their houses and the doors were locked. They came home, the doors were locked, and guns were being held, and they were told, leave right now, or some soldiers are going to come murder you.
You kicked us out of our homes and homeland. Then you killed and robbed and burned and looted our lives.
Do you guys understand? Just go through that in your head.
And so, in the mind of the Palestinian, this was just an upending of, wait a minute, we welcome you in, we put you in our house, we fed you, and then the first opportunity you had, you stole our home from us. They couldn't reconcile this.
You carved out our hearts because it is clear that you do not know how to live in the world without dominating others. But the world is finally glimpsing the terror we have endured at your hands for so long. And they are seeing the reality of who you are and who you've always been.
Imagine your family has lived on that land for hundreds and hundreds of years. And then you say, oh, you know what, the Ukrainian war's happening right now, I feel really bad. I'm gonna allow a Ukrainian to live in my house, maybe here in Tennessee. And you allow them and you share with them, and you do this out of the kindness of your heart. And one day you come back to your house and the doors are locked, and those refugees that you let in are telling you, that if you try to open that door, you are going to die. That's a fact. No one can dispute that. There was no money. There was no trade. There was no conversation. They were effectively hijacked in their own homes. So the entire story of Israel has been immoral.
So that was about American history, and I can't believe I'm actually agreeing with Candace Owens. But that what happened. That's what happened. We didn't learn that it happened. That was an American historian talking about it. We didn't learn that that's what's happened. It's not in the storybooks, and I've read books on early life in Israel, and that wasn't part of the story. But that is part of the story that they hide and don't share. Now, every politician that says Israel is good and they're our partners in the area, then that's what America is, and we're complicit. You know what I'm saying? Because the Americans did the same thing to the Indians, Native Americans. I apologize. The Native Americans. So that's Zionism. That's colonialism. And it's like, okay, so I understand why the people in power, the liberals, the conservatives, have no problem with what's happening over there and the history of Israel and Zionism, because that's our history too. The exact same history. That has to stop. We have to, and when you start doing this type of stuff, you see David Parkman. He's been listed as he talked about the health of Trump, and now he's on the White House. He's an independent media person. Now he's on the WhiteHouse.org website as being listed as a terrorist, someone who is against the government because he talked about the president's health. That's what they want to do. They want to silence everyone to get under control. That's why they wanted to get control of TikTok, give it to Larry Ellison, and that's why they wanted to get control of CBS, CNN, 60 Minutes. All that's going to be gone because they don't want the truth to get out, and they're going to start coming after independent media first. So when I started, doing this and showing these videos and talking about what I see as the truth, I immediately, of course, you worry about it. I don't have the audience that anyone else has, but of course, it's still something to think about because my feeds, YouTube, everything, my social media is full of all these truths and talking about real history. But then, I've totally, you can't call me anti-Semitism because I started out by saying that, I used to say, I don't give a damn about any Semitism. I don't know what it is. You can't call me anti-Semite. I don't know what a Semite is. That's when I started. But now I don't have to say that anymore because I know that, first of all, I know they're not Semites. They're not from the area. I know they came from came from Europe. These are European Jews. And then they're hell-bent. And they took the houses. They took everything from the people. And now you see why they were attacked by everybody in the region because they were attacking the people's land. That they were taking the houses. And then they're only backed up. You have people right now who are banned from going into England because England believes that they should give unfettered support, nothing in return, support for Israel, meaning that you could talk about United States, you could talk about England as a citizen, but you can't talk about Israel. How does that make any sense? They're trying to outlaw us talking about the actions of another teeny ass little country in the Middle East that's causing havoc around the world. I don't know how that's being done or why that's being done. Oh, well, I know why. It's the grift. It's the money. We give them money. They give it back to the politicians, and it just keeps on going. That's why we haven't heard the truth. And all these media outlets are talking about, I'm talking about 60 Minutes, all these, CNN, all these media outlets, they're saying they were telling the truth. They don't talk about this, right? They don't present the proof. I've never seen a documentary talking about the Israelis, what happened after when they got to the Middle East, what happened when they arrived to Palestine, and how they took the people's houses. I have yet to hear a story about that. And I don't know why that is, or I do know why that is, because they're cowards, and basically they're under control of Israel. All right. Sorry. All right, go to the next video, and we're gonna keep it right here. I think Because this is something that we have to learn, and I can't skip it or not talk about it because we see it every day, and we see how we have the IDF in this country, right? We have the IDF in ICE, right? There's people been caught with tattoos on their arms that are worn by IDF soldiers. There's IDF soldiers walking around on campuses trying to convince kids, and that really scares me because right now, as vulnerable as we are and as psychotic as they are, we don't. Who would benefit from a terrorist attack right now, right? Like, they probably would want us to believe that if something happens, it's going to be Iran. Iran doesn't benefit from a terrorist attack on the United States. Why? Because we're destroying ourselves, right? They aren't dumb. We see, based on the videos they make on a regular basis, that they know what's happening in this country. And they know that if there's a terrorist attack in this country by that country, then there would be justification to destroy that country. So, but who would benefit to frame Iran, to frame a terrorist attack on Iran? Who would benefit from that? That would be Israel. So that worries me more than anything else because I do not trust them. They are not an ally. Never were. Never were. This next video is going to be interesting because I think it's MIDI. I've got it. Midi Hassan, right? Zeto. I think that's the independent channel. This is one of those Jubilee debates. I don't really like those debates, but he's good. But then you're going to see Zionism and the brainwashing in action right now.
When children are shot in the head by Israeli snipers aren't responsible for that.
Look,
it's a simple question.
Here's the problem.
When Israeli snipers shoot Palestinian children in Gaza in the head, that's not the fault of the Israeli snipers.
This is the problem, because when you have a
the problem is you won't answer the question. I'll ask you a third time. When Israeli snipers shoot Palestinian children in the head, is that not the fault of Israeli snipers?
Well, you gotta let me finish.
No, you gotta answer the question. Fourth time.
Well,
when Israeli snipers shoot Palestinian children in the head for the fifth time, when Palestinian children are shot in the head by Israeli snipers, is that not the fault of Israeli snipers?
What did those children do?
What did they do? Tell me? Did the children deserve to be shot in the head?
Because the problem is, over there,
millions of people are watching you say
they start brainwashing children. They start brainwashing children at a very young age.
So you support sniping children in Gaza?
Look,
do other people here support sniping children in Gaza? Is that a conservative position now?
What?
That's crazy, right? I mean, to think that way. To shooting children is okay because in your mind, that's their thinking, right? All of them are evil. All of them, they had some girls crying on a campus because the Palestinians were in this country protesting, being pro-Palestine, and they're crying like they want to kill us. They want to kill us, We're in the United States. Nobody wants to kill you in the United States, but they want to cry. They want all the sympathy. They cry victim when they believe in shooting children in the head because a dead Palestinian, I guess, is a good Palestinian, which makes no sense to me. But you see it right there. Do you believe in shooting a child in the head is okay? And he needed to qualify it. Well, are they bad kids? Are they good kids? This is the same the same way that black people were treated in this country, right? Either a bad one or a good. The Native Americans were treated in this country, right? This is just an extension of colonialism from this country, and that's why it's been going on so long because our Republican Party, the conservatives, support those actions, right? And remember, it's a grift, right? We give them money, and then they turn around and put that money back into our politics. So when when politicians vote to give money to Israel, they know that some of that money is coming back to keep them in office. Chuck Schumer, Hakeem Jeffries, Cory Booker, Glenn Ivey, not Cori Bush. The guy, Cori Bush was the person who ran against Cori Bush. I don't know all these people's names because I don't want all their names, but it's just a bunch of them. I have 2 sites up top, votelog.org, trackapec.com, and that will let you know how your representative scores on this, whether they're pro-Palestine, pro-Israel, and how much money they've taken from AIPAC. I will only vote for I will not vote for AIPAC. I will not do it. I will not pull that lever down for a politician that believes in genocide against the people, or wants to support a country that's out of control, that no one thinks they should put a check on, that is free to stop a peaceful flotilla, a flotilla in the middle of the ocean, and then torture the workers, right? I will not support that. And I hope the rest of the country's waking up too. They're panicking, and when someone starts panicking, they are capable of doing evil things. One more video on that. I think, no, two more. Oh yeah, two more. Or one more. Yeah.
I want the American people to understand who their masters are, who they are slaves to. That ugly gentleman that you see right next to me, that's your master. That's the guy who actually governs the country. Ben-Gvir, a literal terrorist in Israel, when the Israelis were in absolute fear that there might be a peace deal. Can you imagine? Here's what he said.
Israel cannot allow this to happen, but this is a bad agreement. This is an agreement that can harm the state of Israel, and we will not allow this to happen.
Then they'll turn around and call us anti-Semites for saying that Israel controls our government. But how are you going to deny it when members of the Israeli government say that they control our government?
He's one of the top 3 officials in Israel and definitely sets policy. And if his faction leaves, Netanyahu wouldn't have a government. That's been true for years. So that gives Ben-Gvir and Smotrich complete power. But then on top of that, so what actually happened on the ground? Well, Israel said they would not allow this agreement to happen, and it didn't happen. And we went back into war. Israel bombed Lebanon. We bombed Iran. Israel got exactly what they wanted. They said, who the hell do you think you are? You think you run your own country? No, it is not good for Israel, so we will ban America from doing it.
And that's what literally happened on that agreement. He said he had agreement. I knew it wasn't going to be an agreement because I didn't see Israel involved in the talks, and there was no agreement. Because who knows? I mean, like, what do they have on Trump? Like, Trump is trashing, and the Republicans are trashing this country to serve that country. Why? And why, if I say anything about it, or if anyone says anything about it, they are an anti-Semite? How does that work? I don't understand it. Okay. All right, we got another one more video. We can move on. I know this gets long and hard, but this is something that has never been talked about openly in our society, in our country, and now it's to the point where they are openly saying that they control our country. And now they're openly trying to get into our military because they don't want to worry about approval. If they're part of the military, they could just take the money, take the weapons. This is crazy.
New Jersey police sergeant has been charged with felony theft.
Ladies and gentlemen, this is why they call it the United States of Israel.
$5 million to defeat Thomas Massey.
Openly.
And let me say very clearly tonight, that was a fight worth having and a victory worth celebrating. When someone repeatedly undermines support for Israel, traffics in isolationism at a moment of global danger, and refuses to stand with the Jewish state when it matters most, there has to be consequences.
Did you hear that? There has to be consequences. If you're a politician in the United States and you vote against Israel, there has to be consequences. They openly talk about running our government, and we just allow them. And we have politicians that will not. And I'm actually amazed at the names that I'm hearing. politicians that I have respect for. Come to find out, they're 100% pro-Israel, 100% pro-genocide, 100% whatever Israel needs, give it to them. And it's all becoming, it's like my favorite word is unsustainable. It's unsustainable. We keep fighting wars in the Middle East and putting it on the credit card, right? All that money that is being spent now with the 2 carrier strike groups and in the Middle East, that costs money. All the weapons that have been spent, that costs money, and it wasn't for us. It didn't protect us at all, right? We're actually at a weaker point. If China decides to take back Taiwan, we're supposed to defend them. We're not going to defend them. We can't. That's maybe what they were talking about when Xi and the man that falls asleep all the time were in China. He didn't look like he wanted to be there. That man said he was bored with the Iranian war. Y'all handle that. Do y'all think he's still in charge? I really don't think that that Trump is in charge. I don't think he's awake enough to stay in charge. I don't think he's what is it? What if I want to use? Conscious enough, or he's not there enough to be in charge. I think that you could just show him some pictures of construction or some project, and he'll just talk about that like a little crazy old man. This country is not being run by Trump. It's being run by the regime, and I don't know who is the ranking member because they have gotten rid of Vance. He's been put to the pasture, so I think it's Russell Vought. To be honest with you, he seems to be the one. The evil mastermind behind all of this. So we're going to move on to the whole situation with ICE. We've only got a few more videos to go. Talk about the situation with ICE because it's crazy. Delaney Hall. So we have a lawless president, right? Like how much are the laws in this country being enforced now? Can we trust law enforcement in this country right now? Can we trust the military in this country right now? Obviously not, because this next story happened in New Jersey. A New Jersey cop decided that, if everybody's getting a little piece of something, let me get a little piece of something.
A New Jersey police sergeant has been charged with felony theft after a journalist tracked her stolen camera equipment to his home. The Associated Press journalist was covering the immigration protest outside of Delaney Hall Detention Center in New Jersey when she was badly injured during a clash between protesters and law enforcement. So she left her camera bag to go get help at the medical tent. But when she returned to the area, her bag with $10,000 worth of equipment was gone. Now, what the police sergeant didn't know is that she had an AirTag in her bag, so she was able to track the location to a private home that just so happens to be the home of the police sergeant, according to the state's attorney general. And before you say that he intended to give it back, keep in mind that all of her equipment was labeled with her name and contact information, but she was never contacted.
So why would he take it home though? Why would you take someone else's equipment home if you're a cop? Why not take it to the station if you think it's going to be stolen to keep it safe? So that's what they're doing. They're just stealing stuff, and that is from a photographer. What about when they go into these houses and remove these immigrants? What are they doing with that stuff? What are they doing with all the money and their wallets? Because they've been set out free with nothing, no phone, no wallets, no nothing. Just sat them outside because they can't get any more money out of them. And the court orders, they ran. They put them. I think they're moving people around in different. To different locations or different states because they need to spread the money around because they each, we've gotten this much money out of this person. He's not going to be released. Send us 5 bodies so we can get, the money on this side, right? This is all a grift. We're paying for this roundup. It is not free. The people were working, making money, adding to our GDP, paying taxes, and now we're paying for them to be detained so that a few hostile, unreasonable, deplorable Americans can get their jollies off watching people being locked up, chased, beaten, raped, mauled, starved. This is what they want to see. The worst. Hillary Clinton was correct. They are deplorable. One more video on the situation with them, and this is one I think you should watch too. He is, I found him on YouTube, so I think he's on a scale, but he has a very good way of delivering information. He used to be with his sister, but now he's full blown giving the play-by-plays, and he is really he has a very good way of analyzing what's happening and delivering a great dialogue and presenting what's going on in a cut and dry type of method, cut and dry way. So listen to this.
I'm back. New house. Let's talk about the concentration camps being run by the fascists in control of the country, and specifically let's talk about the Delaney Hall Detention Facility in New Jersey and the San Benito Detention Facility in Texas, because I think that these two facilities, while hardly unique in their cruelty, really highlight exactly what is going on in the United States right now and why we the people need to be doing a whole lot more than going to peaceful protests on the weekends and waiting on midterms to fix things. And let's start with San Benito, which I think is the more horrifying of the two, mainly because it involves minors. Specifically, pregnant minors, many of whom are pregnant as a result of rape and who have been sent to the San Benito facility where they have been denied access to proper medical care, outside contact, and their basic human rights. Multiple attempts have been made to contact the minors, including by state legislators, but the detention facility, which is run by a multi-billion-dollar private prison corporation, has denied almost all requests for contact, and in the contact that did occur, the minors showed clear signs of coercion by the guards. Even worse, many of those minors should have given birth by now, and we have no idea about the status or location of the babies, who would be U.S. citizens regardless of the legal status of their mothers. So not only do we have a very vulnerable group of minors being kept from the public in a facility known for the frequent abuse of its detainees, but we also have very real concerns that infant U.S. citizens are being deported or worse. And as bad as the situation in San Benito is, what's happening at the Delaney Hall Detention Facility in New Jersey is perhaps even more concerning for an entirely different reason. Dozens of anti-ICE protesters were arrested today outside Delaney Hall, not by ICE themselves, but by the state police, which were sent to protect the facility by Governor Mikey Sherrill and Attorney General Jennifer Davenport, both Democrats, at least in name. The protesters were at the facility in support of the prisoners who are currently engaged in a hunger strike due to the awful conditions and lack of due process occurring at the facility. And instead of sending the state police to enforce basic human rights at Delaney Hall, something every Democratic governor should be doing, Sherrill sent the police to arrest the protesters instead. And if that doesn't tell you everything you need to know about just how complicit the vast majority of the Democrat Party officials are in the atrocities going on in this country, I don't know what will. These are concentration camps. Full stop. They are feeding prisoners food with maggots, denying them life-saving medical treatment, torturing them, abusing and isolating children, and deporting babies and American citizens. Thousands of people have disappeared, probably deported to third-party countries known for slavery, sex trafficking, and worse, and that's just what we know of. How much worse will the full truth be when Americans can ignore it no longer?
So yeah, that's the United States of America right now. People are being raped, detained, shipped, trafficked, and beaten, and gassed, and kidnapped. That's just a regular day in the country now. This is the Republicans' vision for America. It's nothing new. I mean, they had slavery here too. My people were slavery. As a young man, as a young person, when I was growing up, living in Georgia, I remember seeing the videos or TV shows about documentaries about the civil rights movement and what they went through. How they were the dogs were sicked on them. The water hoses from fire engines were used to push them around and bash their bodies. It's the same people doing the same exact thing. This is in the DNA. And then you see why they support Israel. It's the same exact thing. The same exact people. It's not a religion. It's a people who believe in doing these things. And it's okay to treat people who have less power than you horrifically. Now, like I said, I don't know, people seem to be very blind and have a short view, and don't realize how many people have gone to jail, prison, for supporting Donald Trump. And that was Donald Trump. This is his last term, right? There will be no pardons after this term. You will not be pardoned after he leaves, because they're going to move on. The whole country's going to move on, and you're going to jail, and you're going to be sued by everyone that you treated wrongly. But that doesn't bother you. That will bother me like hell. I can't work for a company that does the wrong things. It's hard for me to do that, and I don't understand why so many people in this country are just doing it. But I can. The deplorables. Hillary Clinton said it. The deplorables. She said it. So, there will be a reckoning, and I feel terrible for the people that are going through this, that we can't stop it. And he's right. I think there's like an APEC party, right? We have Republicans, we have Democrats, and then we have APEC party, meaning people who would just take the money and they're totally amoral, and they would just turn their face and look the other way as people are harmed. They got into politics not to help people, not to represent people, not to make people's lives better. They just got into politics to get what they can, and damn if the people get hurt, they're going to get their money. And that is in the Democratic Party and the Republican Party. There seems to be a wide swath of people who have no problem with what's happening, and will just support it. That's liberals. So that's why I call this show. Progressives Are Busted, because we can't keep voting for these weak ass mamby-pamby APAC corporate Democrats who are just in it to get money. You see, like she said, those two Democrats in New Jersey has decided to just send their officers out there to beat up the protesters. Now if they think, why would you do that when you know there's a reason for the protest, when you know people in your state are being abused, tortured, possibly raped, and trafficked, but it's from the federal government, so you have no problem. We have this really strange thing happening more and more with the Democrats, who are, I guess they're dinos, Democrats in name only. They aren't really representing their people or their constituents, because their constituents are out there protesting, and then they're calling the police to beat them up. So, it is what it is, right? So I have an example of when I say, like I said, I call this show Progressives Are Bust, because if you don't sound like this, I don't want anything to do with you, because you're complicit. You're complicit in what's happening, and it's apparent. I think that's my next video. Yeah. Yep. Okay, I'm there. Hey, I've only made one mistake so far, and that's pretty cool. So this is going to be a non-APAC Democrat teaching another person on how money actually works, and how people actually do need working people, based on how this country is set up, this great capitalistic country, how it's set up to not have working people be able to feed themselves, because they think that $55,000 for a family of three is just fine, and they don't need any assistance.
You honestly believe that a family making $55,000 in Nebraska shouldn't be able to access any TANF benefits? That's your position?
I proposed that number. That's in the legislation, and I think it's a thoughtful approach. And in many, many, many cases, that is very more than sufficient.
If you're a family of three in Kearney, Nebraska, making $55,000 a year, you are not eligible under your bill for any TANF benefits, right?
Once you exceed the 200%, you're no longer.
That's what I'm describing. The 200% is $54,640. So a family of three in Nebraska, in your district, that makes $55,000 a year would not be eligible for any of these benefits.
Correct.
Okay, $55,000 a year, right? Family of three in your district, paying $24,000 a year, so $2,000 a month to rent a home, okay? Paying, call it, what, $2,400 a year for car insurance. They own a car. Paying $5,000 a year for their water bill, their electricity bill, right? Paying, I don't know, $1,000 a month for groceries. How many children do you have? Two? I have two as well. I don't know how much money you're spending on groceries on an average basis, but $1,000 a month, $1,500 a month, right? $12,000 a year, $15,000 a year. It adds up pretty quick, Mr. Smith. And I guess what I'm suggesting to you is I don't think that the American people would quite understand your effort to prevent that family that's making $55,000 a year in Nebraska from being able to access child care benefits at the same time that the Republican Congress has passed tax breaks for some of the richest Americans in our country. Do you honestly believe that if...
So that was Representative Joe, I forget which state he's from, but he's a progressive, not AIPAC, and that is him having to talk with someone who doesn't understand people living with $55,000 a year, how they're not supposed to eat. I guess they did come out and say a piece of broccoli, a piece of chicken. And what was the other one? What was the other piece? I don't forget. But that basically what they're saying. You should be able to eat $3 a week and then feed your family and feed yourself, pay your bills. And a lot of people around this country would say, why do they only make $55,000 a year? A lot of people work at Walmart, and that's all they can make. I don't. Me myself, I'm a human being, and I have feelings. I don't fault somebody on. I haven't always been up, right? I haven't been on any type of assistance, but I haven't always been up. I have a very good family that like take care of each other. So I'm blessed in that way, privileged in that way. So, but $55,000 a year will not make it, and having to sit in front of a man who probably hasn't even thought about how much rent they got to pay and how much the car costs and how much the daycare costs and how much all that costs, and he's perfectly fine just having them starve and having them starve and not receive assistance. That's just crazy, and that's what I'm saying. If your representative, for me, if your representative doesn't sound like that, you could do better. Maybe you're happy. A lot of people are happy with seeing people starve like that. We're finding out in this country. They just said, you should just get a better job. There's some amoral people. And people with no empathy, they will say that. They don't want their money helping anyone else. Even though when they need help, they will definitely ask for help. Now, this is my man, Chris Van Hollen, my senator. Once again, coming to stand up in the aid of another. This is a weird story. I don't know. I don't think it's been hashed out, but guess what it involves? It involves Israel snatching an American citizen out of the West Bank.
Just yesterday, 4 students, all women who attend Birzeit University in the West Bank, were seized by Israeli security forces. One of them, Sama, is an American citizen. Israeli security forces came to her home at 3 a.m. in the morning and just took her without explanation. She told them she was an American citizen. They didn't care. I talked to her mother, also an American citizen, shortly after all of this happened. She was absolutely distraught. She told me that her daughter has a medical condition that needs treatment. The Israeli government, the Netanyahu government, needs to tell everybody why they seized these students. And our ambassador to Israel, Mike Huckabee, and Secretary of State Rubio, who always tell us that their number one priority overseas is to protect American citizens, need to make sure that Sama is immediately released. This has been part of a pattern. We've seen this happen before. In fact, we've seen American citizens killed by violent Israeli settlers and by security forces without accountability. This has to change. I am really sick and tired of the Israeli government, the Netanyahu government, taking American taxpayer dollars and then mistreating Americans.
So there you have it. Those are two progressive candidates. If you have a candidate that's not talking like that, I suggest you rethink your vote. Chris Van Hollen, he was key in getting Kilmar Abreu Garcia back and helping him get his situation. His situation still isn't resolved. They're still trying to send that man to Africa when he has said that he will be okay with being sent to Costa Rica. Costa Rica said, fine, he can come here. They want to send him to Libya? I think it's Libya or Liberia, because they want to punish him because he stood up against them and got them on vindictive prosecution. They tried to put him in jail for trumped up charges. But Chris Van Hollen was working for that. Now he's working for another American citizen in another situation, dealing with Israel, who just snatched them out of their bed. Now, I'm not a Christian, so I don't want to say pray for them, but keep them in your thoughts, because we know that they like to rape people and torture people too. Now I'm sure they don't care that it's an American. Who knows why they took these people out of the West Bank? They were students. Like me, I don't understand why you go there. I would never go to Israel. I would like to go to, I think I would like to go to, once this all settles out, I would like to visit Iran maybe, because I know people, Persians I've met, they're very friendly. I don't believe I just said that. Yeah, I would. Yeah, I would. I'm not really someone who wants to go into a conflict zone, but yeah, I've been in conflict zones. But yeah, it's those are the progressives. When I say progressives or bust, we have to look for candidates like that, who are willing to stand up for Americans that are just trying to live their lives, and then get caught up in situations, or get caught up in situations with this government, or get caught up with situations with other, because Kilmar Abreu Garcia was sent to CCOT, and that's a dictator down there, and they have a torture prison. That's what they sent those men to, but they got him out. It's like, there are people in this world who have no problem with hurting people to make themselves feel better. And that's what we're seeing over and over and over again. I think that we got to move on. And then we're going to go to... Yeah. Oh, yeah. We got to talk about this. We're going to talk about this. So many people... it's amazing to me that so many people in the MAGA movement that support the regime don't seem to really care about their own personal lives, and they end up in jail or disbarred just to please a man who don't give a shit about them. But they seem to just really, really want to just prove themselves to this man. I've seen this guy a few times, and he committed a felony and then admitted it on his social media streams. It's kind of strange that he actually did this, but he was trying to prove a point. He was trying to prove a point that that you actually could illegally vote in California. And he might not even, this might be a prank. He might not have done it at all. But he admitted that he signed an affidavit and lied and voted illegally in California.
I just voted in California, in a city that I literally was not registered to vote in, and I'm not even joking.
Wow, okay, this seems serious. Let's hear.
I tried to go vote in the city of Beverly Hills, but it showed in the system that I still lived in my old address. I was like, oh, well, I moved in January. Do you want me to get some proof? And they're like, no, it's fine. And I was like, so you don't need to see my ID? And they're like, no, just fill out this document here. and then sign saying that you're telling the truth, and they just gave me a ballot. That is how easy it is to vote as an illegal in this country.
He said it's illegal.
This is why recording a video without knowing the law exposes only one crime: ignorance. Our friend here would have you believe that this is all it takes to vote in California. Just walk in like you're ordering a burger. Not so fast, Xavier. First of all, your story tells us that they saw your name in the voter rolls, which means that you were already registered to vote in the state of California. Second, your presence in the voter rolls means that you gave them your real name and address. And third, you mentioned they had you sign a document. In other words, you affirmed under penalty of perjury that you had in fact moved to LA from another city in California, and only then, after all this, you were allowed to vote. And that, to you, is a sign of a weak election security. But see, it's not. Because what you're ignoring or decided not to say is that your vote when you walked out of that Beverly Hills polling place was only provisional. You see, the California voting process makes it easy and safe to vote. The process is that the state will take your provisional ballot and your sworn statements, and only after you walk out do they do all the checks they need to do to confirm that you, in fact, have established residence in the city where you're voting. If their check is successful, then you're good to go. If it's not, they ask you to provide additional information that you didn't necessarily have the day you voted. But if they discover that you lied, you gave a fake address or a fake name, for example, you're in deep trouble. You just violated multiple criminal laws in California, which carry a total of up to 9 years in prison. And if the candidate is a federal candidate, you're also facing up to 5 additional years. Oh, and that ballot you cast, it's not counted. So you did all this for absolutely nothing. And that's why California has virtually non-existent fraud. In fact, fraudulent votes are in the dozens, not in the millions. But you didn't know any of that, so you ran to your phone thinking you had a gotcha moment, but you didn't. You just had an I need to learn more before speaking moment, so I hope this video helps.
So that's weird. I've seen that guy before. He's a chumper. He's a trumper. He's always trying to get in pictures around President Trump. He seems to love his Trump. I question his decision-making abilities because of that hair. But it's kind of weird to me that he said illegals. So let's just go. I live in Maryland. We don't have to have ID when we go vote. We don't have to have anything. We have voter ID cards, but we don't have to present them. So basically, when you register, there's motor voter. So when you go to any place to vote, you have to present ID, right? You say it shows your address, it shows your residence, and that's how you register, right? You register to an address, like he said. Then when you go to the polls, they ask you who you are, what's your name, and you say your name, and then they see if you've been there already. And if you show up, they tell you where to go to vote. I do mail-in voting. But if you go to the polls, they look for your name and they look for your address. And you, at that address, you registered. You're at that address. You're to vote. Go vote. You're valid, right? So this gentleman said that an illegal can do that. An illegal can't register to vote. First of all, how would an illegal register to vote? You don't have ID, you can't register to vote. You have to prove your citizenship. We have real ID now. You have to prove your citizenship to vote. You have to prove that you live there to vote. So how is an illegal going to register to vote? That was he saying. Like this is how he's saying that an illegal, I hate that word. An undocumented immigrant can just show up to a polling place, give their name, and somehow they will be registered to vote. He registered to vote. And that's the point. And then he said he moved. Then he signed an affidavit saying that he hadn't moved, which is illegal. The moment you do that, your ballot becomes, because he said he moved, your ballot becomes provisional, meaning that they have to do more research. It's called cure the ballots. Do more research on the ballot to make sure you say who you are. And they need more, like the guy said, they need more information. They're requesting for information. That means that they don't get it, they just throw the ballot away. I know probably keep it for criminal prosecution because you signed the affidavit. That's illegal because you just lied. So, yeah, I don't know. Hopefully he's lying and he didn't do that because he just committed a felony. Good luck to you, son, man, because you didn't prove nothing other than you are a dumb person and have bad decision-making skills. We can tell by the hair and the fact that you're black and you support Trump. Good luck to you. And I'm sure he's making money. That's a good grip for him. Being black, gay, with the hair. They want you because you represent two demographics that support Trump that don't support Trump. So way to go, guy. You didn't prove your point. You just showed that you are a criminal and willing to do anything to please your white masters. Good luck to you. All right, we're gonna go one more video before we get out of here. I just wanna, this last video I'm gonna play is about before we go into some hope. Always gotta end on a good foot with some hope. So this next video is gonna, I just want to demonstrate I just want to show the military told Trump that you might not want to go do that. Don't really want to mess with it. And this is why Israel doesn't attack Iran by itself. And then this is why the United States shouldn't have attacked Iran, and why they keep telling you don't go in there. They've been under sanctions since the 70s, and even before that they weren't in good condition. So, and they're waiting for the United States and Israel to attack them anyway. So they've been waiting for this moment and building up to it. It's not going to be the cakewalk in the war that you think it's going to be, like two big armies meeting on the field. They're going to do it asymmetrically. So this is Iran showing us exactly why our military already knew that you shouldn't do this, but then we have somebody who, Bibi Netanyahu said this has been our best president ever. Because he's dying and very stupid. So anyway, so here's how Iran been planning for this for years.
50-year-old Iranian fighter jet penetrates a U.S. base in Kuwait and bombs it. And you might ask, why the old F-5? Why not buy newer jets? Aside from the fact that we build jets like Korsar, Qaher, and Sagar, there's a bigger picture. Iran's military doctrine was never jet-focused. It was missiles and drones from the get-go. And here's why. Number one, sanctions. No parts, no jets, no barter. Our missiles are fully domestic. Number two, cost. A single 5th-gen fighter is worth around 100 ballistic missiles. Number three, pilots. More than 5 years worth of money only to train a few. Number four, technology gap. Much faster to develop than top-tier fighter jets. Number five, survivability. Easier to hide and disperse than fighter jets when your enemy has superior intelligence. So which one would you choose? A few hundred larger expensive targets, or tens of thousands of cheap smaller ones with no pilots to risk at all? That is asymmetric warfare. Follow us for more breakdowns like this.
So that's basically Iran, why they're still alive, and why no one's really seriously trying to take over that country, because they're waiting for you. They've been in the position, and all this is because of their oil, right? BP, they wanted to kick BP out of the country. They put in the Shah. They want to control the oil, and that's how it's always been. We would not be in the Middle East if they did not have oil. Israel has no oil, has no production. It's a little tiny space, but they want to get control of it. They want to control some oil. They want to control the country. So Israel has been sitting there waiting and waiting. Knew this was coming, and they're getting ready for it because they know they can't fight the United States and Israel one-on-one. I think they could take out Iran one-on-one. I think they could take out Israel one-on-one because the other countries should probably join in. But they're not going to take the United States. And so they've been planning on how they can defend themselves, take over the Strait, which they did, and then put the United States at a standoff. And they do have supporters, China and Russia, Pakistan. They're not alone in this fight that they're doing. They're defending themselves, actually. They're not in a fight. They're defending themselves from the aggression from our country and that other country over there that seems to want to be a state. But you can't be a state and rule the world. You can't be a state in the United States and run the United States. That's not how we work. But we do. You know, our politicians love money. Y'all figured that out. And We knew that from Epstein, everything. It seems to be a problem in this country. And if someone wants to exploit this country, hit the greedy. Hit the billionaires. They'll do what they got to do to get more money. And why you need more? Why you need one yacht? Why you need 2 yachts when you only got one? Because you big and you want to. I don't know. I don't know why you need 2 yachts, but they do. They have 2 yachts. They have a main yacht and a utility yacht. That's gonna do it for this today. Again. The big story is the data centers, the IPOs, AI. It's all a scam. No, there's some utility in AI. There's some utility in LLMs, and if using automation, it will not replace workers on the short run. On the long run, who knows? If it gets better, maybe. But right now, no. But it's unsustainable. When people start asking me about AI, and I first looked at it, I was like, that don't seem like it's sustainable. And it's not sustainable. But they don't, if you got $1 billion, you want $1 trillion, you're going to hit the next hot thing, and the next hot thing is that. It's a scam. If you're going to invest in it, be careful. You may make some money, but you may lose it all because this can all crash tomorrow. All right? Let's talk about some hope. All right, so I'm gonna talk about something this time. I want to talk about why I do this podcast because it's like a crazy thing to do. Like people that start podcasts or YouTube channels and sit in front of a mic with their own lighting and talk about whatever they're gonna talk about, their lives and stuff like that. This is Transparent Conversations. Where a word can change your life. And it's in my the theme song. That was AI. AI wrote that theme song and recorded it. I kind of like it, but I wish I could get a real musician to do it and kind of jazz it, funk it up, funkify it, make it black. That sounds very soft for me. It's got to be hard for me to actually like it. But I think the wording is correct. So I just want to talk about, I look for some spoken word or something that I really like to look at for some hope. But I want to also come transparent, right? Like I have been going through something in my life, and this is Transparent Conversation. I talked about my ethical non-monogamy journey when I was married. In my open marriage, I've talked about that. I've talked about me having addiction issues and recovery, and I think I need to just talk about it a little bit more. I just picked up a 30-day key tag again, and if you know, you know. Yesterday, Thursday, and it wasn't my first time picking one up. I've picked up many, and I've started over many times. But I'm kind of happy. I didn't have any purpose for my life. I really was in a bad place, and it actually got to the point where I didn't actually want to live anymore. I didn't understand my purpose. I didn't understand why I'm here and what I could accomplish at this point, and being at this age and still dealing with a very serious issue. But I found purpose through doing this podcast and adding to the algorithms some positive or just progressive clips, information, because I know that the mainstream media is fake. So this has given me purpose, and I really appreciate just doing it. And everybody listens to it, you get anything out of it, I appreciate you too. Of course, I would like to monetize this and do this, but I will, I'll eventually be working again, and I will have to cut this back. But I'm gonna press this hard as I can because I'm in the fight. Right? I want to hopefully save this country. Like I said, I just had my first grandchild. My daughter just text the family how he is home now. He had issues when he was born, but he's finally home. And I don't want him to come up like this. I don't want him to come up in fascism. I don't want him to come up under Israeli occupation. I'm one of those people, people talk about if the apocalypse comes and the bomb falls. I don't want to live through the apocalypse and the bomb falling. I don't have a problem with death. Like I said, I had to find a purpose to live. 2 months ago, I did not want to live anymore. I really was very close to ending it, but I just I remember that I started doing this, and I knew for me that it's important that I do this, and it's giving me purpose, and that's why I do it. Whether it's going to be successful, whether it's going to be able to make money or anything like that, is immaterial to me. I would like it to, but then I'm still going to pursue this thing, because I've been trying to do this since like 2012, trying to do a podcast, and I couldn't really get anybody to do it with me. I've had a couple of false starts, but it just never worked out. So I just said, you know what? If you want to do a podcast, and I hear a lot of people say this, just start doing it. And that's what I did, and I'm going to stick with it. And so I was looking for some spoken word to kind of address, those type of issues. But then I came across this message, this other podcast, talking to someone who was going through similar issues to me, and it just touched me so much. And I hope you get some out of it too.
I dated the toxic guy, was unfaithful, I became an addict, I created the whirlwind of what I was running away from.
The crazy thing is you list those things as if they disqualify you, when really they qualify you for what your anointing and purpose is in the world.
Yeah. And
I want you to receive that. Don't skip over that, because those are the things that qualify you to be the healer you want to be, to have the voice you want to have. Is because you had those experiences, and now this healing journey is you getting over it. Is you changing your mind, unlearning and learning new, so that you can go back out into the world and help people going through similar things. That's what makes you qualified. Imagine if you didn't go through those things and you try to heal somebody that went, what do you know?
Literally.
So it qualified you. And what's going to qualify you even more is the work that you put into it today. That's why it's taking so long.
Yeah.
That's why the healing isn't 2 months. Would you want your doctor to go to med school for 2 months? Would you want your dentist to go to dental school for 2 months? Would you want your lawyer to get their degree in 2 months? No. You want to be a healer? Heal. And take time to learn, to reflect. It's going to take time. You're in training, baby.
That conversation. So yeah, I will be definitely looking at that video. That touched me so much, because, just going back to meetings and seeing people who never left, that are still there, that are healed, and they're there to welcome the newcomer, me again, and I never stayed because I'm arrogant. I think I could do it on my own. I don't need anybody, and that didn't work for me. So this message was very important for me, and I think Tariq and I will be checking that podcast out, because that was right on time for me. So that's gonna do it. Some hope. Purpose. Find purpose for your life. That will give you hope. So let's go ahead and end this. And I guess y'all want to hear some go-go? I know I want to hear some go-go. This is going to play a quick clip from the festival that was at Tyson's 2 last weekend. So basically, this is an annual thing where out in Tyson's, if you know Tyson's, I've shot this out there, but they have an event area out there. And this happens every year. And I hope to get to it next year, because I like they're having a good time. Now, this is go-go, which I want to hear. That's Essence, and that's a well-known song. It's called Lock It in the Pocket. I like it. I like how all of us are getting older, but we still go going. It is the music of the city. All right, y'all. That Essence symbol. All right, I'm out. We'll be back on. I'll be back on next Monday. Won't be here Sunday. I'm going to see the Temptations, y'all, with the family. The whole family's going to see Temptations. So I look forward to that. Have fun. Stay safe, and I'll see you on Monday. Thanks for catching the podcast.